one of the things you mentioned a little earlier was leadership on both sides in trying to strike that accord in Northern Ireland. And I saw a recent story as well about the relationship you and Bob Dole had when you were majority and minority leader respectively in the Senate. And while you guys bitterly debated a lot of issues, as I understood it, you guys had a handshake agreement that you'd never publicly embarrass the other, and you held to that. A lot's changed in Washington since you left, and I don't think anybody would say it's for the better right now. How much does that complicate problems on everything from gun control to health care and everything in between right now in what seems to be, put it politely, a dysfunctional D.C.? It's different than before. You guys still fought, but you fought, I think, with the body in mind in talking about the Senate or the House or whatever the electoral body happens to be.
Let me tell you how that happened. On the day that I was elected Senate Majority Leader, I called Bob Dole. He was then the Republican leader in the Senate, and I went to see him. And I said to him, look, I said, you've been here for more than 20 years. I've only been here a short time. But I've already seen enough to know that these jobs, leaders in the Senate, are darn near impossible if there's no trust between us. So I said, I've come here to tell you how I intend to behave toward you and to ask you if you will behave toward me in the same way. He was delighted. I talked about simple things. I'll never surprise you. That's important in the Senate. I'll never try to embarrass you. I'll never attack you personally or criticize you personally. We're going to disagree on a lot of issues. I'm going to try very hard, as humanly possible, as best I can, to stick to the issues and not make it personal. We shook hands. Richard, to this day, to this moment, Bob Dole and I have never had a harsh word passed between us in public or in private. We used to argue on the Senate floor, then we'd go have dinner together. And we'd talk about how can we solve problems, how can we resolve issues, not how can we differ. It's different now, it's much tougher. I thought it was hard then, and it was hard, but it's much tougher now for a whole lot of reasons which time doesn't permit us to get into in detail, and I'm not sure I know all of the reasons. But I do know that while a level of personal trust is not the only factor, and probably not even the most important factor, it can be a big factor in trying to reach agreement on issues. And asking people to set aside their personal interests, their party interests, and concentrate on the national interest is very, very hard to do. Because people define the national interest through the prism of their self-interest. I'm sure that every one of the 100 senators today thinks that he or she is doing what's best for the country, even though their definition of what's best for the country is so sharply different. And one final point. This is a big country. 315 million Americans from every part of the world, of every race, religion, ethnic background, large differences in economic interests. Nobody can govern this country and have it 100% of their way all the time. No president, no Congress, no majority leader, no political party. You have to compromise. You have to recognize the reality that in a country as large and diverse as this one, with so many different points of view, you can't have it your way all the time. And that means genuine, realistically listening to, trying to understand the point of view of those who disagree with you. In fact, spending more time on those who disagree with you, because you already know your own views, you understand why you're for something, you want to understand theirs, and then trying to make principled compromise that's best for the country. It can be done, and I hope very much that it will be done in this coming year in Washington.
Yeah. I hope your optimism is at least listened to by some of those folks, but I could chew your ear off for another hour. But Senator, thank you so much for coming in here, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Richard.
All right. When we come back, we switch gears. In the wake of the recent shootings of both a district attorney and the assistant DA in a Texas county, we're asking how much prosecutors fear about these retaliatory attacks. We're going to get into that after this.